Red Riding Hood, a very, very dark story if you think about it. You
Very.
know, I mean, this is one that is literally about child predators.
Right. Right. Yes. And just the whole I think like in the end they cut the wolf open and grandma hops out. Like that's the happy ending. Like the wolf eats all of these things, but then the woodsman comes along and chops the wolf's head off and tears open his skin, and then grandma comes out, which is super super gruesome. But yeah, you're talking about you know oh, there's all kinds of significance with that story and speculation about the Red Riding Hood representing this young girl who's perceived as a woman when she's really just a little child. She's going through a dark woods. She has exorbitant amount of responsibility put upon her to go through these woods and take care of grandma. Grandma's living alone. The wolf is lurking. Yeah, there's a lot of very sinister elements to that, and for some reason we have this image of a girl in a cloak with a basket skipping along. No wolf is going to bother me.
In the original version, though, didn't Red Riding Hood unknowingly eat her grandmother's flesh and drank her blood?
I don't remember that happening. I don't remember there being an actual like meal, but I do think that she didn't know. There's all the versions where she doesn't recognize the wolf is dressed as her grandma, which I have a theory about, because wolves are shapeshifters. Because if you think about it, you're like, how does she not recognize her grandma in this, this wolf in her grandma's clothing? But if you're a shapeshifter and you can, this is like creepy enchanted werewolf guy, because it's not just a regular wolf, he's obviously a werewolf, then of course you could disguise yourself to look much more like a little old lady. It's very disturbing and not plausible, that particular story, in my mind. I also think she picks some flowers that may be hallucinogenic. That's another theory I have, that she picks these flowers that she gives to grandma and everybody just kind of loses it. But there's a lot of different versions of that story, and a lot of them are extremely watered down.
The French version is disgusting.
Is that the flesh-eating one?
That's the flesh-eating one. And then the wolf tricks Little Red Riding Hood into removing her clothing and getting into bed, and no hunter saves her. She dies from it. And the moral of the story is beware of strangers and sexual predators.
Yikes. Or beware of the French. Sorry, kidding. We love you, France.
The Grimm brothers had some very different thoughts, didn't they?
Well, I think they did probably one of the best jobs of recording the stories as they were told to them. And not, again, like I'll bring up Hans Christian Andersen, who was a wonderful writer. And he brought us The Little Mermaid and The Girl Who Trod on a Loaf and a bunch of other like great stories. But he sort of he did his own version, and all of those have this, there's like this Christian moral at the end of all of those. With the Grimm brothers, and also William Butler Yeats did a good job of this as well, I believe. With the Grimm brothers, they were recording the stories as people were telling them, as people were telling them. So they didn't just reinterpret it or change the ending. So sometimes the endings don't make any sense, or they seem like there's something missing, or the stories just seem a little bit choppy. But I believe that's because the Grimm brothers tried to stay as true to what people were telling them as possible. And William Butler Yeats was doing something very similar in Ireland, and same thing. There's all kinds of stories about changelings and pukas and all the trooping fairies, and sometimes they don't totally make sense. They don't always follow like your traditional story arc, or you don't always see like a resolution, or there's just something kind of a little bit. But I think that's just because he was sticking to recording them as an oral historian versus like just turning them into a story himself. And there's a big difference, especially in terms of the folkloric record. And once you've read a lot of those stories, you can really start to see the difference. Like you can almost tell, oh, this was a more authentic as told to story because it's got something a little bit off about it. It doesn't follow all of the engaging story elements that you want in a short story. And then when one does, you know that somebody put a bunch of effort into writing it. No criticism there. I think that's great too. But they're telling a different version of it. They're telling their own version of it, and they're putting their name on it as an author. So there's a difference there.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We got 3.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our good friend Varla Ventura, we only have her till the top of the hour, 1 hour tonight. Getting back to Cinderella in the Grimm's Brothers version, I mean, the stepsisters cut off her toes and heels to fit their toes and heels to fit into the glass slippers.
Oh, it's freaking glorious. I love that story. It's first of all, there is a magical hazel tree that is growing on Cinderella's mother's grave. And from this tree there's a bunch of birds, and this tree is the tree that drops down the gowns and the slippers, and it's actually 3 nights of the ball. So when they try and find who belongs to this missing slipper, the prince knows kind of the general house, and he gets gets the shoe up to one of the sisters, and she can't fit her heel in. And so the mother says, hey, when you're in the castle, you're not going to need to walk. And she chops her heel off. She sticks her foot into the shoe, and it fits. And they right away, somehow the prince is just so enamored that he doesn't understand that there's blood in the shoe. And as they pass under the magical hazel tree, which grows on Cinderella's mother's grave, the birds chant, there's blood in the shoe. There's blood in the shoe. Your true bride still waits for you. And he looks down, sees the blood in the shoe, turns around, goes back, tries the same thing with the second sister. This time she has to chop off her toe as they pass under the tree. There's blood in the shoe. There's blood in the shoe. Your true bride waits for you. Until finally he finds Cinderella, gets her to, Aschenputtel is her name in this story, gets her to put the shoe on. It fits perfect. I guess, I don't know. They didn't rinse out the blood. Totally gross. They pass under the tree, and the birds chant, your true bride is, there's no blood in the shoe. There's no blood in the shoe. Your true bride is with you. And then at the very end, the 2 sisters at the wedding, as they're walking down the steps, the 2 sisters put their arms around either side of Cinderella and about to tell her how happy they are for her. And pigeons swoop down and pluck their eyes out. So definitely a slightly different version than more modern.
Definitely not as polite as the North American version.
Right.